On our way to the college entrance exams, my best friend and I came across someone who had accidentally fallen into the water. My best friend was rushing off to the exam hall and told me not to meddle. Believing that saving a life is a virtuous deed, I jumped into the river to rescue the person, and as a result, I missed my first exam. I never expected that the girl who fell into the water was the daughter of the Song family, one of Yunqing's most prominent and wealthy families. To show their gratitude, the Song family not only gave me a large sum of money, but also arranged a high-paying job for me right after I graduated from college, allowing me to easily reach the pinnacle of success. My best friend, who had been hitting a wall everywhere she looked for a job, was consumed by jealousy and secretly poisoned my water cup. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day of the college entrance exam. My best friend jumped into the water first, and I could hear her thoughts. This time, all that wealth and glory is mine. Help! Someone's in the water. A cry for help snapped me out of my thoughts. Below the bridge, a figure was bobbing up and down on the water, struggling to signal for help from passers-by. The river is fast-flowing, making it extremely difficult to rescue people from the water. The slightest misstep could cost you your own life. It was just like this in my previous life, too. On our way to take the college entrance exam, my best friend Li Ru and I came across someone who had fallen into the water, and as it happened, we both knew how to swim. Li Ru urged me not to get involved, saying that getting to the exam site on time was the most important thing. This time, Li Ru shoved me aside and plunged into the rushing river. With a splash, she even turned back to remind me, "Dongjie, hurry to the exam hall. Don't miss the college entrance exam. I'm a better swimmer than you, so I'm sure I can rescue that person safely." At that moment, I could hear her inner thoughts echoing in my ears. This time, all the wealth in the world is mine. I didn't miss the determination in her eyes. I immediately realized that she, too, had been reborn. How could I possibly turn down my best friend's kind offer? There are only 20 minutes left until the exam. In my past life, I missed the first exam because I saved someone's life, and in the end, I failed the college entrance exam. Years of hard work went down the drain, and my scores were only good enough for a vocational college. Because of that, my parents were the subject of ridicule from Li Ru's parents for quite some time. This time, I turned and ran toward the exam room, without looking back. In my previous life, the Song family made a huge fuss about thanking me for saving their lives, and even gave me a large sum of money. The story made it to the city's trending topics, and everyone online praised me for being both beautiful and kind-hearted. At the time, Li Ru was so furious she was grinding her teeth. Behind everyone's back, she spread the word that she had actually been the first to plan to jump in and save the person that day, but I had stopped her and stolen her chance at glory. After saying it so many times, it seemed as though she had come to believe it herself, and she grew to resent me even more. In the end, she graduated from college but couldn't find a job anywhere. When she saw me, a vocational school graduate, effortlessly land a management position at the Song Group, with $1 million annual salary, she was consumed by jealousy. While I wasn't looking, she secretly poisoned my water and killed me. Having been given a second chance at life, I ran, while watching Li Ru struggle to save people in the rushing water, unable to suppress a cold smile. This time, let's see who has the last laugh. I rushed to the exam hall and made it just in time. As soon as I received the exam paper, I tried to calm my nerves and began answering the questions. Failing the college entrance exam in my previous life became an obsession for me. That summer, I copied down the exam questions and answer explanations, going over them again and again until I could practically recite them by heart. I never thought I'd get a second chance, but this time, I'm definitely not going to let the opportunity to go to college slip away. Li Ru and I were assigned to the same exam room. Unlike my past self, she didn't rush back to the exam room after saving someone. Instead, she didn't show up at all that day. It wasn't until the exam was over that I went home, where I ran into her right outside my door. She was getting out of a luxury car. Li Ru changed into a limited edition designer outfit and waved goodbye with a sweet smile to the people in the luxury car, my family, And Li Ru's family had been neighbors for 4 or 5 years. And since we both attend the same school, we've naturally become close. As soon as he turned around, he saw me. She came toward me skipping excitedly. Dangzi, guess who I rescued from the river today? The Song family. Song Tingjia, the heiress of the Song family. Yuncheng's most prominent aristocratic clan. She gestured wildly as she described just how wealthy the Song family was. But her eyes never left me. I didn't miss the curiosity in her gaze. It looks like she suspects I might have been reborn. 2. I pretended not to notice, and frowned, with concern. Li Ru, you missed a day of exams today. Your college entrance exams are definitely ruined. You'd better start thinking about how to explain this to your mom, so she doesn't give you a good scolding. After a few seconds of silence, seeing that my concern wasn't feigned, she silently grumbled to herself. I really was overthinking it. Reincarnation isn't exactly a common occurrence. It's not something just anyone gets to experience. She rolled her eyes at me. But Dangsi, you nerd. You're so boring. If my mom knew I was hooking up with the Song family, she'd be the first to praise me. Let me tell you, the Song family said they'd give me a huge sum of money to thank me for saving their lives. And they promised that if I ever need anything in the future, I can just let them know. My life of luxury is about to begin. So, what if I failed the college entrance exam? I pretended I still wanted to talk her out of it, but she cut me off eagerly. The Song family said that in a few days, once the young miss is discharged from the hospital, they'll host a special celebratory dinner to thank me properly in front of everyone. She handed me a black invitation, with gold foil stamping. Here, when the time comes, I'll take you out to see the world. Once you see it, with your own eyes, you'll know if what I'm saying is true. Having successfully established a connection with the Song family, Li Ru decided not to take the exam the next day. Before I left this morning, I knocked on her door. Li Ru's mom peeked out, and, upon seeing it was me, flashed a look of contempt. Dangsi, off to take an exam. My daughter Li Ru was so exhausted from saving someone yesterday that she won't be going today. It seems this whole family now regards the Song family as their safety net. Just before I left, I heard her mother mutter under her breath. Just a bookworm who only knows how to study. She'll never amount to anything. A couple of days later, Li Ru came to see me, all excited, and said the car had arrived to take her to the dinner party at the Song family's house. I didn't really want to go, but Li Ru kept dragging me along, saying she wanted to show me the world, though she couldn't hide the pride in her eyes. She lived such a glamorous life in her past life. In this one, I won't feel satisfied until she sees me rise to the top. With her own eyes, Li Ru dreams of trampling me underfoot just to satisfy her inner vanity. Thinking of what the Song family had done to me in my past life, I swallowed my refusal and went along with Li Ru's suggestion to accompany her outside. After all, I'm also curious to see if Li Ru would still be so happy if she knew about the Song family's dark secrets. The banquet was held at the St. Hall Hotel, the most luxurious hotel in downtown Incheon. As soon as she stepped off the bus, Li Ru was captivated by the hotel's opulence, her eyes betraying her unbridled greed. She turned her head and saw the faint surprise on my face, immediately putting on a nonchalant act and mocking me by calling me a country bumpkin. Dangsi, wipe that drool off your chin. I'm a special guest of the Song family today, and I'm kindly bringing you along to this event to broaden your horizons. Don't embarrass me. She held the hem of her skirt, walked in on her high heels, and held her head high, as if at that moment she had truly become a young lady of high society. With her exaggerated puffy skirt, and high heels, and her bold makeup, she waddled like a duck to keep her balance. Little did she know that in the eyes of those around her, she was nothing but a clown. Li Ru seemed oblivious to this, and thoroughly enjoyed the stare she was getting from those around her. As soon as Song Fong, the head of the Song family, saw Li Ru, he smiled and greeted her. Li Ru smiled back and walked up to him, sweetly calling out, "Uncle Song." As if on cue, she pulled me close and introduced me. "This is my good friend Tang Ji. She heard I was going to the party today and begged me to bring her along so she could see the world. I hope you don't mind." Uncle Song Fong turned his gaze toward me, and Li Ru immediately grew nervous. To highlight Li Ru's extraordinary charm, I wore nothing but a simple white t-shirt and jeans today, with black square frame glasses, keeping my head down, and looking meek and submissive. Song Fong merely glanced at me before losing interest and turning his attention back to Li Ru. Not at all. You saved Tingjia's life, so of course I'd love for you to bring your friends over to visit her often. I heard Li Ru let out a sigh of relief. That gave me such a scare. Thank goodness Uncle Song didn't treat Tang Ji differently like he did in my last life. She was completely put at ease. The banquet was already well underway when the guest of honor finally arrived. Song Tingjia, dressed in a silver haute couture mermaid gown, was breathtakingly beautiful. The moment she stepped onto the stage, she made Li Ru look like a clown who had stolen an adult's clothes. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, Song Fong brought Song Tingjia over and patted her on the shoulder. With a smile, we really owe Li Ru a debt of gratitude for saving you from the river that day. Go and thank her properly. Li Ru was so caught up in Song Fong's praise that she didn't notice the sarcasm in Song Tingjia's eyes. All evening, Li Ru tried hard to find things to talk about with Song Tingjia, but Song Tingjia remained aloof. After the banquet ended, the Song family arranged for a car to take Li Ru and me home. On the way, Li Ru couldn't stop complaining to herself. That young miss is something else. I don't know what she's so high and mighty about. If I hadn't risked my life to pull her out of the river, she'd be dead by now. She was upset by Song Tingjia's cold attitude. I knew the driver. He was a member of the Song family. But Li Ru didn't know that, and assumed the Song family had just hired him on the spot. I deliberately struck up a conversation. Ru. Miss Song doesn't seem very talkative today. Is she just naturally introverted? Li Ru nearly rolled her eyes, so hard they pop out, and blurted out instinctively, I think she's just looking down on people on purpose. I'm the one who saved their family's life. Her dad treats me like a guest of honor. What gives her the right to look down on me? Who does she think she's putting on that stuck-up act for? Through the rearview mirror, I saw the driver staring at Li Ru, and I knew that everything I said tonight would be relayed word for word to Song Tingjia. Li Ru was in for a rough time now. Just a couple of days later, the Song family arrived with a large entourage and presented Li Ru with a substantial sum of money as a token of their gratitude. There were also reporters with cameras who snapped away at Li Ru and Song Fong, and the incident made it onto the city's trending topics that very day. Li Ru came over to show off to me with her phone. Tang Shi. Look, everyone online is saying I'm beautiful and kind-hearted, and companies are even reaching out to ask me to endorse their products. Do you know how much the Song family gave me today? 3 million. Your dad couldn't have earned that much in his entire working life. My dad is just an ordinary office worker who makes 7,000 a month. He'll never earn 3 million in his lifetime. But the Song family's money isn't that easy to come by. I said nothing. So, she was convinced that I was secretly jealous deep down. Tangxi, now that I'm rich and famous, I know you must be dying of envy behind my back. Right. It's okay. We're good friends. From now on, I'll bring you along to events like this. Given enough time, you might even be able to ride my coattails and squeeze a little something out of the Song family to help make ends meet. Li Ru always keeps her word. Ever since then, whenever Song Tingjia asked Li Ru to go out, Li Ru always wanted to bring me along. When I first refused, she secretly cursed me under her breath for being ungrateful, then happily went to meet Song Tingjia. Every time she came back from a date, she was carrying bags of all sizes, limited edition handbags, gold and silver jewelry, and high-end cosmetics. She would always bring these things to me to show off. Look, Song Tingjia gave these to me. You didn't want to come with me, but maybe for my sake you'll get a share of these, too. Suddenly remembering some funny things from my past life, I changed my mind and blinked at Li Ru. Really? Can I get some of those goodies, too? Li Ru patted her chest and gave me her word. So, when Song Tingjia asked Li Ru out again, I happily tagged along. This time, it was the birthday of one of Song Tingjia's wealthy friends. They had rented out an entire building at a resort and planned to party all night long. With me around, Li Ru acted all high and mighty, constantly ordering me to bring her tea and pour her water. But I didn't argue. I happily did as she asked. I was well aware of how despicable Song Tingjia and her crowd were, and I knew that the more compliant I was, and the more meek I appeared, the less interest they would have in me. Sure enough, they barely gave me a second glance all evening. The party was more than halfway through when the waiter came over to refill our drinks. 2 people were laughing and horseplay when they accidentally bumped into a waiter. The waiter stumbled, and most of the drink in his hand spilled all over Li Ru. I was sitting in the corner and could see clearly that 2 were definitely doing it on purpose. The waitress looked panicked and apologized, but Li Ru stood up and slapped her across the face. Do you know how much this dress costs? Can you even afford to pay for it if you ruin it? I know that dress she's wearing it costs over 2,000 yuan. When she first bought it, Li Ru even sent me a screenshot of the payment just to show me that one of her dresses is now worth as much as our family's monthly living expenses. The room fell silent. Even the 2 who had been roughhousing a moment ago sat down, and everyone watched the spectacle unfold. The waitress covered her face on the verge of tears. I really didn't mean to do that. Please take off your skirt, and I'll take it to the dry cleaners for you. Li Ru flew into a rage. Take it off to dry clean. Are you trying to humiliate me on purpose? Do you know who I am? She pointed at herself. I'm the savior of Song Tingjia, the heiress of the wealthy Song family of Yinqing. By humiliating me, you're humiliating the entire Song family. Get your manager here. I'm going to make him give me an explanation today. Song Tingjia hated it when Li Ru kept throwing around the frass life saber at the drop of a hat, and her eyes grew cold. I was hiding in the corner, struggling not to laugh. I don't know where Li Ru got the nerve to think she could speak for the entire Song family. Someone noticed that Song Tingjia looked upset and intervened. Come on, it's a birthday party, and everyone's in a good mood. Don't let a little thing like this ruin your day. Li Ru rolled her eyes at the man. It's easy for you to say that it wasn't your skirt that got ruined. Was it? Come over here, and I'll splash you with some water. Let's see if you can still be so magnanimous. She turned her head and saw Song Tingjia sitting in the middle of the crowd. Tingjia, look at her. She doesn't respect you at all. Song Tingjia stirred the ice cubes in her glass, without even looking at her. It's just a dress. I'll buy you a new one. Having gotten what she wanted, Li Ru finally stopped giving the waitress a hard time before letting her go. She warned her smugly, You're lucky today. Next time I see you, I'll make sure you get fired, so you'll remember this. Li Ru spent the whole night out in a dress covered in wine stains, making a complete fool of herself on the way home. She clutched the new dress that Song Tingjia had delivered, and couldn't stop smiling to make up for the injustice she had suffered. In addition to the dress, Song Tingjia also gave her a new handbag, and I ended up receiving a gift as well. Li Ru showed off to me. See, I didn't lie to you. Miss Song is naive and loaded. If you stick with me, you're sure to score some perks. She held the bag in her hands, turning it over and over, unable to hide the joy on her face. I spotted a tiny thread sticking out from the bottom of the bag and reached out to tug at it. Li Ru slapped my hand hard, leaving a red mark. Take your dirty hands off it. This is a limited edition. If you ruin it, can you even afford to pay for it? Her gaze was filled with contempt. I had originally intended to remind her, but when I saw the red mark on the back of her hand, I changed my mind and didn't shatter her illusions. After this, I don't want to go out with Li Ru anymore. Song Tingjia wasn't upset with Li Ru over the birthday party. On the contrary, their relationship grew even closer. This summer, Song Tingjia often brought her rowdy friends along, parked her flashy sports car in front of Li Ru's apartment building, and shouted for her to come out and play. Every time Li Ru came back, she would bring a pile of beautifully wrapped boxes or shopping bags. She was bringing back more and more things from Song Tingjia. Everyone around her was envious. Even the little boy next door who had just started kindergarten said in his babyish voice to his grandmother, When I grow up, I want to be a great benefactor to wealthy families, just like Sister Li Ru. Even Li Ru's mom has been acting all high and mighty whenever she runs into my parents lately. Our daughter has a kind heart and is ambitious, which is why the Song family took a liking to her, and why she's become good friends with the Song family's daughter. Our Ruru has even said that the Song family plans to bring her into the company as an executive, with an annual salary of at least several million. Unlike your Tang Ji Xiao, so narrow-minded. So, what if she's a top student? When she enters the workforce, she'll just end up working for someone else. Comments like that are just a way for them to feed their own family's vanity. Only I know that Song Tingjia doesn't treat Li Ru as a friend at all. She clearly treats her like a dog she can summon at will. Because the exact same thing happened to me in my previous life. Back then, Song Tingjia used the excuse of repaying her savior to frequently ask me out to join the gatherings of their circle of rich kids. I was both flattered and surprised. I found her to be down to earth for a wealthy heiress, and I came to regard her as a close friend. It wasn't until later that I realized she was just using me for her own amusement. Those spoiled rich kids looked down on everyone else. How could they ever truly respect an ordinary person? Song Tingjia pretended to be my friend on the surface, but behind my back, she constantly belittled me. Every time, she would use games as an excuse to make me look foolish. And then, just like everyone else, she would surround me and laugh at me, calling me a delusional fool. The luxury goods and fine jewelry she gave him were actually counterfeits she had deliberately purchased. Ordinary people who rarely come into contact with luxury goods couldn't tell the difference at all. At first, I was naive enough to treat the gifts my friends gave me with great care, only bringing them out for important occasions like when I was invited to the Song family's banquets, wearing the fake jewelry Song Tingjia gave me, and carrying a fake handbag. I always felt the mocking glances of those around me. Who knows what they say about me behind my back? Even when the Song family finally placed me in the company, ostensibly as a high-paying executive, I was actually just there to work under Song Tingjia, running errands for her, taking the blame for her mistakes, and enduring her scolding. Song Tingjia always carried herself with the air of a high and mighty Song family heiress. But I was the only one who knew that behind closed doors she was a cunning and vicious viper who couldn't stand seeing an ordinary person like me outshine her, and who came up with endless ways to torment me in private. Back when Li Ru poisoned me, Song Tingjia was tormenting me to the point of breaking every day. I was filled with 1,000 thoughts, wishing I could just jump off the Song building and end it all. Song Tingjia used my parents' safety as leverage to force me to stay by her side so she could boss me around and take advantage of me. All the projects I worked so hard on late into the night ended up being credited to her, while any problems or mishaps were blamed on me. Every day, the moment I open my eyes, I sigh and wonder why I'm not dead yet. Later, Li Ru poisoned my drink. I could tell something was off from the very first sip, but I forced myself to drink it anyway, because at that point, I really didn't want to live anymore. Right up until my dying breath, I still regretted saving Song Tingjia. When the college entrance exam results came out in July, I was admitted to University A with outstanding scores. My parents were delighted and threw a grand celebration banquet for me. Li Ru showed up, too, and she handed me a beautifully wrapped gift box. She couldn't stand seeing me in the spotlight. Though she said congratulations, she couldn't hide the disdain in her eyes. I opened the gift box right in front of her. It was a luxury handbag with a huge logo on the front, as if it were afraid people wouldn't recognize the brand. She said smugly, "Dangxi, don't say I'm not being a good friend here. Do you know what brand this is? This one bag costs as much as your living expenses for a whole year. Forget it, you country bumpkin. You wouldn't understand even if I explained it to you. Actually, I know what's going on. Having been around Song Tingjia for so many years, I've seen at least 800 luxury items, if not 1,000. I could tell at a glance that this bag, just like the one at her last birthday party, is a fake." Li Ru was still gloating about how much effort she had put into getting me this gift, but her inner thoughts gave away her true feelings. What kind of so-called rich girl is Song Tingjia, sending me this fake stuff to fool me? Isn't she just trying to humiliate me on purpose? Never mind. That fool Tang sure wouldn't recognize him anyway. He's probably never even seen him before. Who knows how happy he is inside? Li Ru was smarter than I was in my previous life. She saw through Song Tingjia's hypocrisy sooner than I did. However, it seems she still can't bring herself to let go of the Song family support. so she pretends to know nothing and continues to go along with Song Tingjia's charade. I did as she wished and gave her a smile to thank her. Li Ruteni, you'd better pull yourself together. I'm still waiting to see you. And Song Tingjia tear each other apart. Their superficial friendship lasted until August, when one night Li Ru didn't return home until the early hours of the morning. It wasn't the red supercar Song Tingjia usually drove that brought her back this time. The car pulled up in front of the building, and a young man got out and gallantly opened the door for Li Ru. Hiding behind the curtains upstairs, I watched as Li Ru got out of the car, hugged, and kissed that man, and finally said goodbye before stumbling upstairs. After Li Ru left, the man stood under the streetlight for a long time, without moving, as if sensing something. He looked up in my direction, and I quickly ducked back behind the curtain. The moment I saw the man's face, my heart skipped a beat. It turned out to be Lu Zhan, Song Tingjia's fiancé in a previous life. The Song and Lu families formed an alliance through marriage, and Song Tingjia's betrothed was Lu Zhan. Song Tingjia was extremely jealous. She looked down on Lu Zhan, yet she considered him her property. If anyone caught his eye, that person would immediately face a retaliation. Lu Zhan was always a restless playboy. After learning of Song Tingjia's actions, he deliberately started flirting with women left and right, provoking Song Tingjia to bully others at will. In my past life, those two jerks really took advantage of me. Thanks to that bastard Lu Zhan, he came to the company to pick up Song Tingjia after work, and deliberately whistled at me right in front of her. That very night, Song Tingjia had someone slip me a drug and send me to an old man's bed. If I hadn't smashed a vase, grabbed a shard of porcelain, and threatened to kill myself to escape, I probably would have died even sooner. At the time, I didn't know it was Song Tingjia who had done it. I just figured I was having a run of bad luck. It wasn't until I happened to catch Song Tingjia meeting with the same people who had drugged me back then, and arranging for them to target a new victim, that I finally identified the culprit. Whenever Song Tingjia caught Lu Xian glancing at another GI, RL, that girl would face a wrath. Now that Li Ru and Lu Xian are acting so flirty and close, I can't even imagine how badly she'll end up getting hurt. In early September, when the new semester began, I stepped onto campus and felt an academic atmosphere unlike anything I had experienced before. I threw myself into my studies. Campus life was incredibly fulfilling, and I put Li Ru and Song Tingjia out of my mind for the time being. When the first semester ended, and I went home for winter break, I saw Li Ru again. It's been 6 months since I last saw her, and she's changed a lot. Her appearance has changed slightly from before. She must have had some minor cosmetic work done recently. She was dressed like a wealthy socialite, wearing a form-fitting dress and high heels, with an expensive fur coat draped over her shoulders. No matter how you look at her, she doesn't look like a girl in her 20s. Li Ru came over to chat with me that evening. While I was away for the past 6 months, she had nowhere to channel her desire to show off, so she kept sending me WeChat messages every other day to show off the new gifts she'd received and her ever-growing bank balance. I just pretended to be swamped with schoolwork and didn't reply. Now that she's back, how could she possibly pass up such a great chance to make me jealous? Dangxi, it's been 6 months since we last saw each other. How's college life? Have you met a boyfriend there? I kept a smile on my face. I'm too busy studying to have time for a relationship. The smug look on her face grew even more obvious. I forgot you're a bookworm. Let me tell you, the guys at college are all pretty average. Nothing like my boyfriend. If you ever want to find a partner, just let me know. I'll definitely find you a wealthy and influential boyfriend in my circle. Someone who's generous with his money and will ensure you never have to worry about a thing for the rest of your life. I quickly picked up on the gist of what she was saying. Are you in a relationship? Just as I expected, Li Ru has been seeing Lu Xian behind Song Tingjia's back. What surprised me even more was that they've been secretly dating for months, and Song Tingjia hadn't noticed a thing. I got a taste of Song Tingjia's controlling nature in my past life. So, she doesn't strike me as the type to be slow on the uptake. She twirled the diamond ring on her finger. A snobby rich girl like Song Tingjia thinks the whole world revolves around her. She has no idea what men really need. All I had to do was give him a little wink. And Lucien was already at my mercy. Since I dared to do it, I'm not afraid of her finding out. Besides, even if she does find out, she'll just have to put up with it. She smiled as she looked down and placed her hand on her belly. I'm carrying the Lu family's first male heir. Lucien said their family has had only one male heir for 5 generations. This child will ensure a lifetime of wealth and prestige for me. He promised me he would find a right moment to call off the engagement with the Song family and marry me. Tangsi, by the time you come back next time, I might already be MRS, LU. At the same time, a smug voice from deep within her mind rang in my ears. That idiot Tang, she in her past life. She had a chance to snag a catch like Lucien, but let him slip through her fingers, choosing instead to be Song Tingjia's lackey. What's the point of sucking up to the Song family and relying on their whims for handouts? I want to be the wife of a wealthy man and achieve a true social climb. It's good to be ambitious, but when ambition outstrips one's capabilities, disaster ensues. I smiled sincerely and said, I wish you success. Before leaving, Li Rose said nonchalantly, Tangzi, I know you're jealous of me, but there's nothing you can do about it. I'm simply better than you and more accomplished than you. You'll just have to spend your whole life looking up to my life. Just as she had hoped, on New Year's Eve, I ran into Li Rose downstairs, all dressed up and ready to go out. Tangzi, guess what I'm doing tonight? She held up the black invitation in her hand, a confident smile on her face. Lu Zhan chartered an entire cruise ship, saying he wanted to give me a New Year's Eve I'd never forget. I'm guessing he must be planning to propose to me tonight. She stroked her slightly rounded belly. Who knows? You might see a news story tomorrow morning announcing that I've become Mrs. Lu. I didn't stop her. I just smiled and reminded her that if she ran into any trouble, she could call me for help. She spat at me and walked away, swaying her hips. At 1 a.m., I was woken up by the ringing of the phone. I pulled out my phone and saw an unfamiliar number. I answered the call, and on the other end I heard Li Rose panic gasps. Tang Ji, Tangzi, help me. Quick! Find someone to save me. What's wrong? I chuckled. Didn't you just have the New Year's Eve of a lifetime? She was sobbing so hard she was shaking. They're all liars. They're all demons. There was no proposal at all. Lu Zhan and Song Tingjia teamed up to trick me. They beat me, and so many people on the cruise ship tormented me. I lost the baby, and I bled a lot. You said I could ask you for help. Hurry up and call the police for me. I'll pay you. I'll pay you a lot of money. Hurry up and get someone to save me. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. There was a burst of static on the other end of the line, followed by a giggle. Little mouse, hide well if we catch you. We're going to eat you. You know. This was immediately followed by Li Rose's piercing scream, and the call was abruptly cut off. I leaned against the headboard, clutching my phone as I lost myself in a flood of memories. When Li Rose mentioned this afternoon that she was going to board a cruise ship tonight, I knew something like this was bound to happen to her. In my past life, on a cold winter night just like this one, Song Tingjia took me aboard a cruise ship. All the rich kids who were close to Song Tingjia were there, and the moment they saw me, they gave me a predatory look. It wasn't until later that I found out they have a regular event every 3 years where they charter an entire cruise ship to play a game of cat and mouse. In my past life, I was the chosen mouse, and everyone else was a cat. That night was a revelry for this band of demons, but a nightmare for me alone. I need to run as far as I can on the cruise ship, find a hiding place, and evade capture by the others. There were 10 of them on the other side, and they were after me, just meant I even had a tracking device locked onto my ankle. Finally, I was caught. They chained my neck and made me crawl on the ground like a dog, then branded me with a red-hot iron. They tortured me all through the night, holding a camera up to record my suffering. I was lucky to have survived that night. The Song family knew what Song Tingjia had done, so they gave me a sum of money as if it were charity. They called it compensation, but it was really just to buy my silence. I refused to take it and struggled to call the police, but Song Tingjia pulled out the video from that night and threatened to send the footage of my humiliation to my parents. During those years, My dad was diagnosed with a heart condition. He needed money for treatment and couldn't handle any stress. Do you think your dad would have a heart attack on the spot if he saw his sweet little girl being trampled and tortured by us for money, stripped naked, kneeling on the ground, crying, and licking our feet? I had no choice but to endure the pain, and from then on, I lived in torment, haunted by nightmares day and night. Leroy has always dreamed of taking my place, and now, at last, her wish has come true. This is the path she chose for herself. Whether she reaps wealth and honor or suffers humiliation, she must accept whatever comes her way. An hour later, I took the recording to the police station and filed a report on behalf of Leroy. At 4 a.m., the cruise ship adrift at sea was intercepted. Police stormed the vessel and rescued Leroy, who was lying unconscious in a pool of blood. Song Tingjia, who was in the midst of assaulting her, along with Lu Zhan and the others, were all taken into custody. Amid the chaos, I snatched up the camcorder that had fallen to the ground. On New Year's Day, a scandal involving a wealthy family suddenly broke out online. Dozens of young ladies and gentlemen from Yenjing's elite families, led by the Song and Lu clans, secretly took pleasure in tormenting Ordinary. The leaked video clearly showed Leroy being surrounded and tormented by Song Ting, and her group on the cruise ship. In the video, Leroy lets out a piercing scream, clutching her stomach with her hands as blood seeps from her lower body. The baby inside her was brutally stomped to death by Song Tingjia, who was wearing high heels. As if that weren't torture enough, in the video, Song Tingjia grabs Leroy by the hair and sneers, "Still dreaming of marrying into a wealthy family by using your child as a stepping stone? Are you? You don't know this, do you? The child in your womb isn't Lu Jian's at all." That night I had to go to great lengths just to find a homeless man. Lu Jian stood beside her, watching her, with a mocking expression, and didn't deny it. The marriage alliance between the Lu and Song families will never fall apart because of a lowly woman like you. Wake up and stop dreaming. Tormented both physically and mentally, Leroy let out a blood-curdling scream and struggled to fight Song Tingjia to the death, only to be kicked to the ground by Lu Jian. What followed was a brutal beating. The video caused a huge stir online, prompting the Song and Lu families to launch an emergency PR campaign and spend lavishly in an attempt to quell the buzz. But they simply couldn't keep up with the speed at which netizens were devouring the gossip. Some people even dug up old news reports about the Song family making a big show of visiting Leroy to thank her for saving their daughter's life, only to discover that the girl being abused in the video was none other than that very same lifesaver. In just a single day, the market value of the Song and Lu companies plummeted by tens of billions. Everyone is seizing this opportunity to launch a fierce attack, putting pressure on the authorities to severely punish this group of lawless rich kids. The 6th day of the Lunar New Year. Sunny, a good day to go out. I went to the hospital to visit Leroy. After several days of intensive care, Leroy narrowly escaped death and was transferred from the ICU to a general ward. However, because those rich kids went too far that night, Leroy was covered in injuries, and the doctor said she had even broken a leg. When I went to see her, she was lying in bed, her face swollen like a pig's head. As soon as she saw me, she snapped, "Dangxi, it's all your fault. Why didn't you bring the police to rescue me sooner? If you'd come sooner, I wouldn't have suffered so much, and I wouldn't be in this state now. It's all your fault." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "What are you laughing at?" she snapped. "You came here just to make fun of me, didn't you? I knew you were secretly jealous of me and envied me, now that I've fallen on hard times. You can't wait to mock me." It seemed she didn't learn her lesson on the ship. I reached out and pressed my finger against the scar on her cheek. The wound, which had finally scabbed over, immediately began to bleed, causing Leroy to wince in pain. "Dangxi, let go. Are you out of your mind?" I asked her coldly. "Does it hurt? It's supposed to hurt. You should thank me for calling the police and leading them to the cruise ship to rescue you. Otherwise, by morning, you might have ended up as a corpse floating in the sea, and you wouldn't have had the chance to feel any pain at all." She instinctively wanted to argue, but couldn't find a reason to speak up. Yes, you were right. I did it on purpose. I meant to do it from the very beginning. Her expression turned panicked. Her pupils dilated, and even her face began to tremble. You as if she just thought of something utterly terrifying. Her throat tightened. How did you lead the police to the cruise ship? It seemed she had also realized something was wrong. Song Tingxia and her group's cruise ship had docked at a secluded, abandoned port. If it weren't for someone in the know, the police probably wouldn't have been able to locate it even if they searched until dawn. I answered a different question. Li Ruteni, do you still like the life of luxury you longed for in your past life? I should be thanking you. The cage I fought so hard to escape in my last life this time around. You're happily walking right into it. Li Ru could only move her head. Yet even so, she tried to struggle and lunge at me. You Tangshi, you betrayed me. You'll die a horrible death. You ruined me. Why can't you stand to see me happy? Tangxi, I hate you. Even as a ghost. I won't let you off the hook. You see, people like Li Ru never realize when they're in the wrong. They always instinctively shift the blame onto others. But that's okay. I think she'll have plenty of time left in her life to reflect on and regret every choice she's ever made. I easily covered her mouth to stop her from shouting and cursing. Li Ru, you were wrong. It wasn't me who ruined you. You ruined yourself. It was Song Tingjia who attacked you, and Lu Shan who deceived you. They hired a homeless man to take advantage of you while you were drunk, treated you like a dog, tortured you, and recorded videos for their own amusement. They did all of this. They were the ones who ruined you. I warned you before you left. I called the police in the middle of the night to rescue you. You should be thanking me, not resenting them. As I spoke, the look of hatred in her eyes grew even more intense though this time. It wasn't directed at me. I said sadly, Li Ruteni, we used to be best friends. We grew up together, went to school together. We're so close we even shared a bed and ate from the same bowl. We shouldn't have become enemies. In my past life, I went through the same thing as you. That night, I had even drafted my suicide note. You have no idea how much I envy you. Shed a couple of tears at the right moment. My words stirred memories in Li Ru, and a fleeting look of bewilderment flashed across her eyes. Satisfied that her hostility toward me had subsided, I continued to coax her gently. You've been by Song Tingjia's side for so long. Haven't you ever wondered why? As the daughter of a wealthy family, no one came to her rescue when she fell into the water that day. You probably didn't know this, but kids from wealthy families learn to swim from a very young age. Every 3 years, Song Tingjia stages a game of cat and mouse like the one you experienced. She deliberately chose the day of the college entrance exams to fall into the river near the school, all to lure a naive girl like you into becoming the target of her next game. So, Li Ruteni, it's not your fault. They took advantage of your kindness, lured you with wealth, and in the end, treated you as their plaything. And now they want to ruin your life. I spoke with absolute certainty, and Li Ru's expression shifted several times before she erupted. With intense hatred, I leaned down close to her ear and whispered, would you like the chance to take revenge? With your own hands? She stared at me for a full 30 seconds, then nodded, clenching her teeth. Under public pressure, Song Tingjia, Lu Zhan, and their group were all sentenced. Among them, Song Tingjia and Lu Zhan, as the principal organizers, were sentenced to 5 years and 7 years, respectively. Just when the Song and Lu families thought the matter had been settled, 2 middle-aged couples suddenly appeared and jointly filed a lawsuit against Song Tingjia and Lu Zhan for intentional homicide. They had evidence in their hands, photos and videos, all from the same cruise ship, showing the hunting game organized by Song Tingjia and Lu Zhan. It just happened a long time ago. Before Li Ru, Song Tingjia had used the same tactic, pretending to need help to lure kind-hearted peers into rescuing her and befriending her, only to send them off on a cruise ship on New Year's Eve. Time and again, the Song and Lu families have used their influence to cover up the crimes of these 2 monsters, making the tragic deaths of innocent people look like accidents. They even set up a mutual aid fund to help these 2 families get back on their feet, and the families are deeply grateful to them. How hypocritical and disgusting after what happened on the cruise ship in my previous life. I realized I wasn't the only victim. I'd been quietly investigating the matter behind the scenes. But just as I was getting somewhere, Liru poisoned me. Fortunately, on the day I brought the police to rescue Liru, I managed to get my hands on the evidence that Song Tingjia had hidden amid the commotion. The reason they waited until after the first instance verdict was handed down to hand the evidence over to the victim was simply to make the Song and Lu families think the matter was settled and let their guard down. Actually, this is the first time I've truly intended to kill these two. The actions of Song Tingjia and her circle of associates completely ignited everyone's anger, prompting countless netizens to spontaneously boycott all businesses owned by the Song and Lu families. This time, they're really finished for good. The Song and Lu families fell from power. Song Tingjia and Lu Zhan had their sentences extended, so they'll likely never see the outside of prison for the rest of their lives. Do you think I'd let them off just like that? Prison life is far too lenient for them. I promised Liru she'd get her revenge. With her own hands, Song Tingjia and Lu Zhan are the only children of the Song and Lu families. They're so protective of their little rascals. How could they possibly bear to let their precious ones spend their whole lives in prison? So, a year later, once the public outcry surrounding the Song and Lu families had died down somewhat, they spent nearly all their savings to bribe the hospital into issuing psychiatric evaluations for the two men, thereby transferring them from prison to a psychiatric hospital. The plan was to wait a few years until the furor died down, then quietly send them abroad. After 8 or 10 years, when everyone had forgotten about the whole affair, they would bring them back to resume their lives as the family's beloved daughter and son. Just what I wanted. Upon receiving the news, Liru used her connections to gain access to that mental hospital. Late at night on her third day on the job, she started a massive fire at the psychiatric hospital. Song Tingjia and Lu Zhan had just been transferred to a psychiatric hospital. Before they had a chance to celebrate, they were reduced to 2 charred corpses by the fire of rage set by Liru. I just didn't expect that Liru had also perished in that inferno. It wasn't until the autopsy report was released that it became clear all 3 had sustained injuries of varying severity prior to the fire. Police suspect that a violent struggle had taken place between them. It seems Liru went all out against those 2, but she ended up getting hurt in the fight herself, which meant that in the end, none of them managed to escape. The case was ultimately closed as an accident. The Song and Lu families were dissatisfied with this outcome and insisted on blaming the hospital for poor oversight. The hospital's top brass were so enraged that they decided to release records showing that the Song and Lu families had paid them to issue fake medical certificates. As a result, even Song Fong and Lu Zhan's father ended up facing legal action. He lost his company, his fortune, and his only daughter under the weight of these successive blows. Song Fong was diagnosed with a terminal illness and ultimately opted for medical parole. Seeing the latest news, Song Fong, his hair grayed and his back hunched, standing in Song Tingjia's memorial hall and weeping until he was nearly out of breath, was a far cry from the haughty demeanor he displayed when he tried to buy my silence. With money, the pent-up frustration that had been gnawing at me since my rebirth finally began to dissipate. Before I had a chance to take a closer look, my advisor called. Danzi, the college has released this year's list of students eligible for direct admission to graduate school, and your name is on it. Hurry up and come to my office to fill out the paperwork. I stood up, casually deleted Song Fong's photo, and logged out. Oh, right. I almost forgot school life is keeping me really busy right now. I don't have time to worry about these little things online. Story 2. Apocalypse arrived, and the true heiress, flanked by her bodyguards, locked our family in the basement. She and her family took up residence in the small supermarket that belonged to my family. Despite our desperate pleas, my parents and I couldn't even obtain a morsel of food from them. When the zombie horde attacked, the heiress and her family pushed us out to feed the zombies in order to save themselves. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day the true heiress was taken back home by her parents. Lorna barged into our family supermarket with a group of bodyguards and, without a word, flipped the dining table where my family was having a meal. My parents, who had cherished their daughter cautiously for 18 years, were now being fiercely glared at by her. How can you still have the nerve to eat and drink when everything outside is in chaos? Lorna demanded as she reached out her hand towards my dad. Give me the keys to the supermarket. My dad, who had always been kind to Lorna, was at a loss but handed over the keys since Lorna insisted. With the keys in hand, Lorna snorted. At least you're sensible. Dad, what's going on? Has Lorna's family treated you badly? My dad asked nervously, rubbing his hands in front of Lorna. Lorna glanced at my dad and said lightly, Lorna's family treats me very well. Better than you ever did. Look, I've only been home a few months. And haven't I become much fairer? And chubbier? You run such a big supermarket, but never spent any money to dress me up. My mom's eyes welled up, with tears as Lorna spoke. Dear, your dad, and I have never wronged you. Lorna screamed, and stood up. You are not my parents. Stop pretending to love me. She quickly left the store, and got into a car. I couldn't stand Lorna's pretentious behavior. If my parents were really bad to her, that would be one thing. But from what I've observed since I've been home, my parents are hardworking, honest people. Not only do they maintain good relations with the neighbors, but there is also nothing to fault in their conduct. Although our family isn't particularly poor, we're certainly not wealthy. Our family supermarket, located next to the bus station in the county town, may not be large, but it has everything needed. The supermarket is our family's everyday home. There's a second-floor attic above the supermarket where they live. I couldn't understand what Lorna was up to, but I remained cautious. I tried asking around on social media, but unfortunately, nobody replied to my messages. That's how it is in high society. So-called friends are only interested when you have substantial wealth. Friendships can end in an instant. People, without any value to offer, are treated as less than nothing. I sighed, feeling something was amiss. Today, the normally quiet small town saw several luxury cars coming and going. Moreover, even the people who usually shop at our supermarket were strangers. They bought in bulk, loads of grains, oils, and other storable supplies. A voice in my head told me that something big was about to happen. I immediately told my parents to close the shop and stop selling goods. My parents had sold more goods today than in several months combined, and were overjoyed. But, seeing my serious expression, they didn't ask questions, and closed the shop as I suggested. I took a deep breath and patiently explained to them, I have a bad feeling about this. There were many strangers today, and lots of luxury cars. The goods they bought suggest they might be planning to stay for a long while. My parents nodded in agreement. Dorothy, you've seen more of the world, and know more. We'll listen to you. After all, making money isn't urgent at this moment. I felt a warm surge of trust and love slowly filling my heart. Later that night, Lorna swaggered into the supermarket, keys in hand. A month after being kicked out, I saw my foster parents again. The look they gave me carried a hint of disdain. After all, we've raised you for 18 years. If you could just treat your sister well, there'd be room for you at home. Facing their hypocritical expressions, I couldn't help but smirk. Why are you here in the middle of the night, leaving your nice villa empty? Lorna suddenly burst out, loudly interrupting me. Have you no manners? After Mom and Dad have worked so hard to raise you for 18 years. Is this how you speak to them? And what's this about it being your house? This house was left to me by my foster father as compensation. I stared in disbelief at Lorna's blatant lying. My parents, awakened by the noise, stumbled out, bleary-eyed. What's going on here? Lorna's eyes welled up. Wasn't this house supposed to be left to me? Isn't this your compensation for mistreating me? Otherwise, why would I have the keys? Lorna turned to look at her parents. Seeing Lorna in tears, her parents softened and started shouting to throw us out. But before they could act, a sharp scream pierced the air outside. Lorna's father quickly pulled down our house's shutter as heart-wrenching cries echoed from the empty street. Murder! Murder! Help! Can someone save me? Lorna was so frightened she could barely stand, covering her ears in panic. What do we do? The zombie outbreak is real. I glanced out the window, where the woman who had been attacked was now motionless. Within a minute, she staggered to her feet, Even with her stomach torn open, she stood as if resurrected and started walking towards our supermarket. "Turn off the lights!" I yelled. Lorna's father, from a high position, quickly ran to turn off the main power switch. The house plunged into darkness. I drew the curtains, and my parents lit some candles on the shelves. That's when I had time to consider what Lorna had said. Zombies. The M Country's lab was breached by humans. I overheard it at a banquet, but by then it was too late to fortify our house, and almost everyone who was unprepared drove to the countryside or less populated areas. Lorna's father, exhausted, took off his clothes and sat down. Thankfully, we made it. My parents didn't say much about their sudden visit, perhaps because Lorna's family had indeed raised me well. The 6 of us settled into the cramped house. As the situation outside worsened and the infected numbers grew, we dared not make a sound. 2 weeks into the zombie outbreak, we lost power and water. Had it not been for the small supermarket we run, we probably wouldn't have survived even a month. After dinner one night, I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I found my parents, and I locked in the basement downstairs. No matter how much we shouted, no one responded. After what seemed like days, without the strength to even move, Lorna finally came down. Her mouth greasy from food, her malicious nature restored. This damn apocalypse. Who knows when it will end? The food in the store is running out, and I don't intend to share it with others. You won't die unjustly. One cuckoo taking over the nest, making me suffer for 18 years. The other 2, so poor that he wouldn't even buy me a bag. She lamented, "Why have children if you can't afford them?" Yusti. I don't know how much time passed, but eventually my parents and I were carried out by Lorna's family and thrown into a crowd of zombies. We had already become so thin, just skin and bones, that the zombies only nibbled on us a bit before turning away. Indeed, even the zombies weren't interested in us. I thought to myself, with self-mockery, and then I lost consciousness. I was reborn. "Dorothy, come meet your future sister," my foster father said cheerfully as he pushed a pale, thin girl in front of me. I had always known that I wasn't their biological child. Now that their real daughter had returned, I naturally had to give back her place. In my previous life, I didn't talk much. Instead, I went back to my room to pack my bags. Seeing this, Lorna couldn't stop crying. She threw herself at the feet of my foster parents, sobbing. Does sister dislike me? Maybe I should just go home and not bother her anymore. A few words were enough to make my foster parents impatient to kick me out of the house. This time, Lorna indeed started crying in front of me. I quickly cradled her face, carefully wiping away her tears. Then under our parents' watchful eyes, I gently took her hand and led her to my closet. "These clothes are all yours now. What else do you like? I'll take you shopping at the mall in a bit." Seeing Lorna's stunned expression, her mother handed me a bank card. Without thinking, I took the card. "Mom, don't worry. I'll make sure to take my sister shopping at the mall. I'll buy her everything she likes." I took Lorna to the mall, and after visiting a few luxury stores, we went to look at furniture. "I heard Dad bought you an apartment. Is there anything you like? We can buy it today." After saying this, I nervously covered my mouth and looked at Lorna. "You must not tell Mom and Dad. They wanted to keep it a secret from you. Pretend you don't know." "Okay." Lorna nodded, and together we bought many home appliances. We even selected the furniture. I smirked and filled in an address in a high-end residential area. After dealing with Lorna, I hurriedly took a taxi to meet my biological parents. In my previous life, we lived miserably. This time, I would not let history repeat itself. They started crying as soon as they saw me, just as I was about to speak. My dad said, "Dorothy, your mom and I are thinking of selling the supermarket. How about we move somewhere nobody knows us?" I was thrilled. Perhaps they had also been reborn. After all, in my previous life, I had suggested they move, but they didn't want to leave because of their attachment to the neighbors and the memories. "Dad, do you know something?" I asked. Tears welled up in his eyes as he gently patted my hand. "I'm sorry. I didn't protect you well. Listen, the world is about to change." I quickly interrupted him. I'd been reborn, too. "Dad, I later found out that my entire family had been reborn the day I came back. I had used my savings to rent a house in a villa area, home to many from the entertainment industry, with good security and privacy. For the next few days, I took Lorna out shopping, satisfying not just her vanity, but mine as well. I was responsible for the purchases, and my parents handled the logistics. We lived peacefully for several days, and I gradually let go of my worries. But I didn't expect things to go awry that night. After organizing a small portion of supplies at the villa, I was ready to head back to Lorna's family's place. As soon as I entered their home, I saw the three of them standing there, arms crossed, all staring at me in unison. I had a bad feeling inside, but I still braced myself and walked in. "Mom, Dad, why haven't you gone to bed yet?" Lorna's father snorted coldly. "I was unaware that you have been doing all these things behind our backs." Lorna chimed in. "Yeah, Cease. If you don't like me, just say it. Why did you have to take away the things I like?" Hearing this, I felt a bit relieved and looked up at her, puzzled. "When did I ever take your things?" Lorna's mother showed me her phone. "You've been quite close with that young man recently, haven't you? How could you keep such important matters from your parents?" Lorna's mother gently patted my shoulder. "I know you and Andy have grown up together like childhood sweethearts." But now, she glanced at her obedient daughter sitting next to her, then back at me. "After all, the person engaged to be married is our daughter Lorna, who is now back home. The marriage alliance should rightfully involve Lorna." Relieved, I quickly reassured Lorna's parents. "Mom, Dad, rest assured, although Andy and I grew up together, we've never really seen each other in that way. Even if the sky fell, Andy and I would not end up together. Tell your sister not to worry. Andy doesn't have a girlfriend. If she likes him, she should pursue him." Lorna looked at me resentfully. "Then why do you hang around Andy if you don't like him? You even asked him out for meals. I can't even get a date with him. Getting close to Andy was, of course, to secure supplies for turning the villa I rented into a fortress for the apocalypse. But how could I possibly tell them that? So I told a lie. Little sister might not know, but actually, Andy has been wanting to ask you out for a meal for a while now. He's been meeting with me just to find out what you like. In a few days, they'll probably ask you out himself." Lorna was thrilled to hear this, and seeing her so happy, Lorna's parents also showed rare smiles. When Lorna's parents were happy, so was I. After Lorna went back to her room, Lorna's mother stayed behind to talk to me. She patted my shoulder approvingly. "Dorothy, you handled that very well. True to how we raised you. You really have the knack for this." Lorna's mother handed me a bank card. "Your sister has been used to tough times since she was little, and lacks a sense of security. Try to spend more time with her. And here's some pocket money from Mom. Don't forget to buy some things you like as well." I took the bank card, nodding repeatedly to assure Lorna's mother. I went back to my room with the bank card and immediately transferred a deposit to Andy. It felt like the heavens were literally raining coins on me. I want all materials to be explosion-proof, of the highest security level, install an electric grid outside the villa, and reinforce the gates and walls. Andy quickly replied, "Don't worry, their family is very reliable." Calculating the days, there were less than 2 weeks left until the zombie outbreak. Had listed my parents' house on a second-hand platform for sale, but since it was located in a small town, hardly anyone called to inquire. People in town were all thinking of moving out, while those outside wanted to come home, but couldn't. This made my parents very anxious, and I had to reassure them, "Don't worry, Mom and Dad. Once news of the zombie outbreak spreads, rich people will naturally come to buy the house. By then, we might even make a hefty profit." Nearly half of the goods from our family's supermarket had been moved to the villa, and I had cleared several shelves, leaving only a few to maintain appearances. The appliances bought earlier from the mall, like refrigerators, air conditioners, generators, and drones, had all been installed at the villa during the day. My parents sold goods in the supermarket, and at night, they helped me organize the supplies we had bought back at the villa. I hadn't touched the second and third floors of the villa. When renting, everything remains as is. I transformed the door, leading from the first floor to the basement into a hidden door. The basement was remodeled into a bedroom and a storage room. After all, in our previous life, we encountered a horde of zombies. Before our demise, if zombies really could traverse thousands of miles and break through homes, then the basement is undoubtedly the safest place. I spent every day ordering supplies online, transporting them, and organizing them. I was incredibly busy. Meanwhile, Lorna was preoccupied with meeting up with her beloved brother, Andy, and didn't have time to bother me. Days passed by just like that, until one evening when I came home and happened to run into Lorna's family packing their bags. "What's going on? Mom? Dad?" Lorna's father looked at me strangely and said, "It's nothing. Lorna just wants to go out and play, and we're helping her pack." The whole family looked as if they were fleeing from something, but I decided to turn a blind eye. "Are you going, too, sister?" Lorna deliberately got close to annoy me. I usually avoid her, so there was no way I would go with her. She asked, knowing the answer already. I repeatedly stepped back, waving my hands. "No, I won't go. You guys go ahead." Lorna nodded in satisfaction and continued back to her room to pack. After returning to my room, I was a bit puzzled. If they had known the news this early in the previous life, how could they not have time to prepare? But a thought quietly emerged in my mind. They were really just packing luggage to prepare for going out. The next day, the family of 3 leisurely left with their luggage. Seeing the empty villa, I also started to pack my bags to flee. While I was packing, the family of 3 came back with their luggage. "What happened? Why did you suddenly come back?" I walked out of the house and saw the panicked expressions on their faces. "Where are you going?" Lorna's father looked up at me. "I saw that you all were not home, so I also planned to go out traveling." Lorna's father rubbed his forehead. "It's not very safe outside recently." Before he could finish, Lorna tugged at his sleeve. Lorna's father looked at her in surprise, and Lorna smiled brightly. "Sister, Dad's just teasing you. Go out and have fun. Don't forget to bring us some souvenirs." I also smiled and nodded, giving Lorna a discreet glare. Some people can't hide their feelings. Their dislike is evident on their faces. If that's the case, then I wish you an early demise. That afternoon, Lorna ran to my parents' small supermarket. Unlike the previous life, this time she pitifully knelt in front of my parents, complaining about how her parents mistreated her and starved her. If my parents hadn't been reborn, they might have been moved to tears. Unfortunately, Lorna's tactic wasn't very effective this time, but my parents still followed my advice and handed the keys to the supermarket to Lorna. Lorna grabbed the keys and ran off. There was one day left until the apocalypse, since I used the excuse of going out on a trip to leave Lorna's family. I moved to a villa to live with my parents. We had nearly cleared out the supermarket shelves. We left only some useless household items there. Sure enough, that night, my parents received a call from Lorna. "Where did you all go?" Lorna cried frantically on the phone. "Where did you put all the food and water from home?" Seeing that my parents remained silent, Lorna seemed to realize something. Suddenly, her tone softened. "Woo woo woo. Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I miss you so much. Can you bring some food and water to the store to see me? I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. Please." At my cue, my parents repeated the lines I had prepared for them. "Lorna, don't cry. Mom and Dad are on their way back with food. Just wait for us," they said. Lorna, through her tears, managed a smile and a nod before hanging up the phone. After the call, I couldn't wait to check the home surveillance and saw Lorna's family looking out the window with somber faces. The zombie outbreak started late at night, and it was almost time. Lorna's family was still incessantly complaining. Lorna's mother walked past several shelves. "Look what the store has left. Towels, slippers, not a bit of food or water. How are we supposed to survive?" Lorna's father also looked dissatisfied at Lorna. "Didn't you say these poor folks had a lot of food at home? Enough for our family to live on for several years." Lorna, at a loss, shook her pale little face gently. "Mom, Dad, it's not like that. You've misunderstood." Lorna didn't expect things to turn out this way. Once they come back, we'll have something to eat. Then we can send them out to gather more supplies. I remember there's a storage room here. It definitely has food and water. Meanwhile, my parents were furious. My mom sat in a chair nearby, wiping away tears. We raised Lorna with all our hearts, and it turns out we raised an ingrate. And then there's you, Dorothy, with whom we had no real ties. And we never raised you. Yet you show such filial piety. I couldn't help but tear up. Blood is thicker than water. After all, I can see who truly cares. During the years, with Lorna's family, though her parents never mistreated me, they were extremely strict about my education. From as early as I can remember, I was enrolled in various training classes. Every day I had to learn various skills. When Lorna's family parents attended banquets, they took me along to perform for the guests. A good performance would earn me praise. A poor performance would leave me facing endless darkness. As a child, I longed for the company of Lorna's family parents. But we actually didn't spend much time together. Most of the time, it was just me and the servants in the mansion. As I grew older, they started restricting my social interactions. I could only associate with people they approved of. I couldn't make friends on my own. So, when I found out I wasn't their biological child, I felt a strange sense of relief. So, the first time I met Lorna, I was eager to leave Lorna's family. In front of us, Lorna would cry and complain about how terribly my biological parents treated her. At the time, I even resented my biological parents. Lorna was dark and thin, like a little monkey, clearly looking malnourished. Only after meeting my biological parents did I realize they had never mistreated her. Her thinness was due to her obsession with dieting, and her dark skin was from hanging out in the streets with friends, getting sunburned. It wasn't that her parents didn't give her spending money, but she always chased after luxury items, wanting to buy expensive bags and cosmetics. Whenever her parents didn't meet her demands, she would throw a fit and hang out with those friends. Over time, her parents couldn't handle her, and indeed couldn't control her. This time, finding out that Lorna's family corporation was her own family likely fulfilled her wishes. So, she did everything to please Lorna's family parents, even to the extent of forcing our family into the basement to save Lorna's family parents' lives. At the moment, Lorna was still cursively blaming us. Perhaps because she was a bit hungry, she pulled out some snacks from her bag, prepared in advance, and started eating on the floor. They waited until late at night, but Lorna's family never saw us coming. With the food, that's when they finally remembered me. Far away, when Lorna heard this, her eyes brightened. Yes, indeed. How could I forget about Dorothy? Lorna's eyes twinkled with malice. She's been squatting in our nest for so many years. Now it's time she repaid us. As she spoke, my phone began to ring. Answering the call, I was greeted by Lorna's father's insincere voice. Dorothy, dear, how have you been enjoying yourself lately? I hear the times are troubled. You should hurry back home. Your mom, dad, and sister are all worried about you. When you come back, could you stop by the supermarket and pick up some supplies? We're running low on everything here. I curled my lips into a smile, feigning urgency. Don't worry about me. I'll bring supplies home. Lorna's father sent me the address. His tone much softened. I'll be home soon. I just got off the plane. You called just at the right time. Dad. Upon hearing that I would be home soon, Lorna's family couldn't stop smiling. Good child. We can always rely on you at crucial times. He hung up the phone contentedly, not noticing Lorna's increasingly gloomy face on the side. After hanging up, I checked the time. It was almost right to deliver them a big surprise. I called the person who bought our house. Mr. Jorge, we've packed our bags and left the supermarket. You can move in now. The other side seemed impatient as well, and upon hearing I had left, they immediately prepared to leave. In fact, a few days ago, a mysterious tycoon reached out to me after his assistant saw that my house was for sale, urgently needing a place to store supplies. Without a second word, he transferred a deposit to me, and after viewing the house, he immediately paid the full amount. During this time, he also continuously stored food and other supplies in our warehouse. Jorge is a good man. He even called to advise me to prepare enough food to last a year. He wasn't in a hurry for me to move out immediately, but said he was willing to give me a few days. However, I had to move out completely by November 10th. I nodded in agreement. November 11th was the day the zombie outbreak was set to occur. Within half an hour, Mr. Jorge's car was already at our house's supermarket entrance. Upon hearing the roar of the car engine, Lorna jumped up from the ground excitedly. Great, maybe it's Dorothy. And those two paupers coming together. Lorna's parents also stood up excitedly. Without a second thought, Lorna quickly opened the supermarket's rolling door. Eagerly looking outside, their eyes met. All was silent. Mr. Jorge even took a few steps back and looked up at the sign hanging at the supermarket entrance. He confirmed it was the safe place he had purchased. He hadn't made a mistake. Who are you? Jorge asked warily, eyeing Lorna and her parents. Lorna immediately became tense, her tone unfriendly as she eyed Jorge. And who are you? Why are you at my house? What do you want? Jorge, not one to be easily intimidated, his expression darkened upon hearing Lorna's tone. This is my house now, and I want to know why you are trespassing. Believe me, I will call the police. Lorna scoffed. Go ahead, and call them. See if the police have time for this trivial matter right now. Lorna rolled her eyes at Jorge and turned to shut the door. Fortunately, Jorge reacted quickly. Two bodyguards immediately leaped out from behind him, blocking Lorna's move to throw her out. I bought this house with my money. It's my home now. The name on the property deed is mine. I am the rightful owner of this house. I don't know who you are, but the original owner called me to say she had moved out. I advise you to leave my house immediately, or I will make sure you regret it. Lorna might have been inexperienced, but that didn't mean Lorna's parents were too. They stood behind, staring blankly at Jorge for a few moments, then suddenly recognized who he was. Though they had never met him in real life, they had often seen his face on television. Jorge is a highly influential figure in the finance industry. As soon as Lorna's parents saw him, they approached him immediately. Hello, Mr. Jorge. We're terribly sorry. Our daughter has been separated from us since she was very young, and we have only just found her. So, she's quite wary of strangers. Please don't take it personally. There might have been some misunderstanding. I was just curious about where you purchased this house. Jorge snorted coldly. I bought it from Dorothy. She was the true owner of this house. I'm not familiar with your family matters, but I would advise you to leave my property immediately. With that, Jorge issued his final command. Suddenly, Lorna burst out. This is my house. Can you stop spouting nonsense? No sooner had she spoken than her father quickly stepped forward and slapped her hard across the face. How dare you speak to Mr. Jorge like that? You're completely uncultured. If only Dorothy were here, she certainly wouldn't be as disrespectful as you are. Just then, a woman's piercing scream echoed from the desolate street outside, crying for help. Without hesitation, two bodyguards quickly rolled down the shutter doors and locked the main door from inside. Seeing this, Jorge hurriedly turned off all the lights in the house. Terrified, Lorna stumbled and fell to the ground. Jorge glanced at the three intruders who had claimed his nest and still wanted his bodyguards to throw them out. This is my house. I don't want strangers here. I don't know you. Your presence could be dangerous to me. Upon hearing this, Lorna and her parents' expressions changed drastically as they desperately pleaded on their knees for Jorge to spare them. Although Jorge had lived abroad since childhood, he was still Chinese at heart and was somewhat moved by the scene. He couldn't bring himself to harm his compatriots, so he called me. I don't know you, but I know Dorothy is a good girl. As soon as Jorge finished speaking, my phone rang, with his inquiry on how to handle Lorna and her family, thinking back to their deeds against me and my biological parents in their past lives. I said, lock them in the basement, without food or water. Let them survive as long as they can. I'm worried they might harm you if they stay with you. Upon hearing this, Lorna cursed me furiously. How dare you accuse us? You're the despicable one here. Lorna tried to grab Jorge's phone to yell at me, but was stopped by Jorge's bodyguards. Watching the frustrated Lorna on the surveillance, I added fuel to the fire. You probably don't know yet, but I've been aware of a zombie outbreak for a while. So my parents and I are safe and sound, enjoying hot pot in a secure place. With your venomous lies, who knows how long you'll survive? Eventually, Lorna and her family were locked in the basement. Later, Jorge asked me what should be done with them, and I sighed. Just send them some food and water. Periodically, during the first week of the zombie outbreak, we lived peacefully at home. The security in our neighborhood is excellent. Since the outbreak began, I haven't seen any zombies nor any other living people. I'm not sure what it's like outside, and the internet connection has deteriorated, making it hard to get updates. Social media platforms like YouTube have crashed and can't be accessed at all. Amidst my idle days, Jorge called me again. Your foster parents and your sister are fighting. Hearing this, I immediately checked the home surveillance cameras, which were glitchy but still showed Lorna's father pinning her down and beating her. I instructed Jorge to hand the phone to Lorna's father and also wanted to discuss some matters with him. Jorge sent a bodyguard to deliver the phone. As Lorna's father picked up the phone, his eyes reddened upon hearing my voice. With a trembling voice, he said, "Dorothy, Dad is sorry for what he did to can you come and save your father from your damn sister? I'll make sure she pays for this." Hearing Lorna's father's voice, I couldn't help but smile. "Let me send you another gift, Lorna." I played the recording of Lorna accusing her family in front of my parents. Upon hearing it, Lorna's father grabbed a stool nearby and smashed it on Lorna's head. The scene became uncontrollable. "You ingrate! I've provided for you since I took you in, and you dare to tarnish my name like this. If it wasn't for you, Dorothy and I, along with our child, would be sitting comfortably in a villa, enjoying the air conditioning. It's all because of you. Today, as your father, I will end you." Lorna's father exploded in rage, chasing after Lorna to hit her. Lorna fought back. "You just love Dorothy. No matter what I do, I can never compare to her. Then all of you might as well die." Out of nowhere, Lorna pulled out a knife and slashed at her father. Lorna's mother, too scared to intervene, just watched. When the two finally exhausted themselves, Lorna was sprawled on the floor, unable to move. Only then did Lorna's mother, still on the phone with me, come to her senses. She softened her tone. "Dorothy, it's Mom. Can you help me get out of here? All of Lorna's family's fortune will be yours. Mom really misses you. What use do I have for money now? Staying alive is what's most important." I scoffed at myself, thinking, if I had known this would happen, why did I ever bother? I ruthlessly hung up the phone. Because of Lorna's severe injuries and her father's lack of strength, the family of 3 collapsed in the basement in the middle of the night. Somehow, Lorna managed to escape the basement. Luckily, I was still awake and saw it on the surveillance camera. So, I quickly called Jorge. Lorna violently opened the roller door, her noise echoing loudly on the desolate street. A horde of zombies ran towards her, and Lorna's father, from somewhere behind her, pushed her out. Lorna's mother, somewhat delirious by then, was also thrown out by Lorna's father. Just as he was about to close the roller door, the arriving bodyguard pushed Lorna's father out as well. Then, he securely closed the door. Screams of agony could be heard from outside. None of the family survived. In the end, their fate was a result of their own actions. The second week of the zombie outbreak, just like in the previous life, there was no water or electricity. Half a year after the outbreak, the government announced new news. A zombie vaccine had been developed, and all survivors would be relocated to a safe zone month later. Under military escort, our family finally stepped out of our home again. This moment marked not just a new beginning for our family, but a rebirth for the entire nation.